Standby like Q's 2 through 33, sound 1A through 7. On deck, standby Q actors. Electrics, kill the blue run lights, please. Like Q 2 and sound 1A. Go.
From Arizona Theater Company, this is Hang in Focus with your host, Sean Daniels.
As someone that grew up in Arizona, it's a great way for us to share the work that we do worldwide.
And featuring co-host Chanel Bragg.
That is our responsibility, is to reflect what is going on in the world.
Streaming live from the State Theater of Arizona.
So let's do it. Let's really use this moment to re-envision ourselves.
Welcome to Hang in Focus, live with Sean Daniels.
This is the new Arizona Theater Company. I'm just glad that you're here.
It's almost Mother's Day. So to celebrate, Sean and Chanel have invited their moms for this very special episode.
And hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Hang in Focus. Go ahead and come on out, Chanel, so that we can get ready for whatever this episode is going to be. Who knows? Who knows?
I am so excited. Whose idea was it to have a Mother's Day episode and bring our moms on? I think it was both of ours, and we're so excited to have them on today. A little bit of technical difficulties, but the women are in the building.
I know, it's happening. It's happening. So before we go on with them, real quickly, I just want everyone to remind them that Somewhere Over the Border is streaming right now. That people can go to our Facebook page or our YouTube page to be able to see it. And we just got a beautiful rave review in Broadway World today, claiming that Phoenix deserves a full production of this to be able to do. So, we do whatever Broadway World says. So look for that sometime in the future, but a great compliment to the work, right? That somebody watched a digital online recording and said, this is exactly what this town needs.
And I think it's also important to note that we've been able to do a large outreach to all of our schools as well with this particular project. We scheduled it this week because we were trying to schedule around standardized testing and things like that, and before the end of the school year. And we are so excited. What is the number of how many schools that we have that are actually attending?
It
or
was
watching?
50 schools and 4,000 students are watching it this week. And so just to give the people at home some sense of how many students that is, that's about what we normally do for a full season of plays in terms of student matinees, people coming, right? This is really one of the silver linings of the pandemic is that we're able to record the work that we do. We're able to stream it, and it's able to go to schools that don't happen to be within driving distance or have the budget to get a bus to be able to join us. And I just think it's amazing. So 4,000 students are getting to see Brian and Reg's work. You'll get to hear from them a little bit later in the episode. But I think that's really thrilling, right? And that is a big shout out to Jasmine Roth, who is our Director of Education and Learning. We have, at the beginning of the school year, teachers didn't really know exactly how to work with us. They were just trying to figure it out on their own. And Jasmine has been working with them day in, day out, so that by the end of the year, we're able to share the work that we do with, thousands and thousands of students, more than we ever did, even during quote unquote normal times. So a real success there.
That's exciting. So the moment you've all been waiting for, but first I want to address some of these photos that I think we saw in the promo package. So hold on. Yes, I love this picture. You guys look like the Royal Tenenbaums.
This is our Royal Tenenbaums photo. We can ask my mom about it. It's before the Royal Tenenbaums, so we're ahead of our time.
Yes, definitely. Fashion forward. And then I liked you in, the Wild West photo. So adorable. So which one are you? I bet you I could probably guess.
So this, what's cool about this is actually old Tucson that we're here. And back when having your family dress up with guns felt like a really fun thing to be able to do. I don't know that any of us feel that same way about guns these days. So it may not be what we'll do with our daughter, but at the time it was very funny.
Well, and I love that love for Tucson as well. And these are some more up-to-date pictures.
Come on, let's get to your photos.
Oh, geez.
And what I love is you are your mother's daughter. I mean, that smile is infectious and genetic. So I'm so glad that got passed on from generation to generation, because that's an amazing smile for both of you.
Thank you. I can't wait for you to meet her. She's my favorite person.
Yeah. Oh, look at these beautiful photos. All right.
I didn't prove any of these pictures by my mom. Did you prove your pictures by your mom?
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, let's go ahead and bring out the moms to add them to the show. How will this go? I don't know. Yeah.
You got to turn on your camera, Mama.
All right. Yeah,
There
there
you
we go. Hi, Mom.
See?
Hi, sweetie. Hi.
Oh, Chanel, we lost your mom.
She'll be coming back, I think.
All right. So from both the moms, I want to know, you just saw all those pictures go by. What are your thoughts after seeing those photos?
Well, the picture Will put up of me at this little corner I saw is probably high school. And I went to my 50th high school reunion. I actually think that I look better now than I did 50 years ago. So I'm going to kill Will. Thank you.
Will.
What about you, Mom?
They're okay. Yeah, I like I like them.
I tried to do a little bit of a blast from the past. So we have from the 80s to the 90s and the 2000s. I think we represent all 3 decades.
Yes, I noticed. Yeah.
So you both have children, right, that ended up working in the performing arts, right? Like running Arizona Theater Company. Did you see that coming from a mile away, or when as a parent did you know that you're going to have a kid who's an artist, and did you try to talk us out of it, or did you support it? How did we get here? That's the real question.
Well, I'll start. I put you in Mesa Parks and Recreation when you were 8. It was a summer camp. You went in and I guess they showed you how to play different characters. To make a long story short, you loved it. I think you did a little tiny play at the end of the summer. People clapped, you were on stage. And I think the minute those people applauded, you were hooked. That was your I'm going to get applause. And so that next fall, you applied for Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin. You got the play. And it's been Katie bar the door ever since, on and on and on. And I'm proud, but it was love from the first for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
What's the Chanel origin story from the mom point of view?
I took her to see 8 Misbehaving at Grady Gamage at 10, the Pointer Sisters. And it was just an amazing play to see. And I knew then she started from 5th grade at 10. She was in every school play. She was in a school play every year through college. And I figured she would go that way. I'm glad she's here in Arizona because I didn't expect her to stay in Arizona. So yeah, I figured about 10 that she just loved that. So yeah.
I want to also put it out there that at church, my mom would make me be Mary every single year during the Christmas pageant. So it probably started there too.
Yes, we did a lot of Christmas plays and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, she's very dramatic anyway. And so we all are is what I'm told. We have a very dramatic family. Facial expressions. So yeah, I thought she'd be a good actress.
Now, Kathy, I just want to get to the juicy parts real quick. So, what got Sean in the most trouble as a kid? What is something that he thinks he got away with that he absolutely did not get away with and you totally knew?
I think he came home one time with a dent in the car and told me that he dodged a dog because I love dogs. And, anyway, it was not true. And I remember the headmaster, at his private school, just adored him. So one Halloween, Sean dressed up and put some powder in his hair, so it's white, dresses just like the headmaster. Everybody loved him at the Benjamin School. So what they did, the headmaster turned the microphone over to Sean to make the morning announcements, and he stole the audience. And they loved him, and the headmaster loved him, and most of the time I loved him.
and what are some good Chanel stories? What makes everyone do a deep breath when they think about these moments?
I am a single parent, and Nell's the oldest child. I have a total of 3. And so Chanel is Mama Bear. She's just Mama Bear. She tried to be Mama Bear to me. So one year, the kids had to get shots. The boys had to get shots. And Nellie said, I'm so sorry, Dale, I got to tell something. One year, the boys were supposed to get their measles shots. And Nellie said, Nellie was probably 9. If you be good, if you don't cry, we're going to go get you candy. You got to be a big boys. Well, when we got there, the nurse said, oh, all the kids this year can't enter school without a measles shot. Chanel pushed me out the way and said, what? What did you say? And she said, all the kids have to get a measles shot. You heard, ah! She just literally screamed. She fell to the ground. I said, Chanel, if you be good, if you grow up, I will give you some candy too, just like you told the boys. So she always tried to take care of everybody else, but then she didn't want that shot herself, and she screamed throughout that whole place for 10 minutes.
The whole staff had to hold me down. I didn't tell that story.
Yeah, she's like her mama. When I was 6, it took 1 doctor and 4 nurses to hold me down to get a shot, my mother said. So she's like her mama.
Now, what I love is I think that I know we're natives, and then Sean is a native. Are you a native too, Kathy, to Arizona?
No, I was born in Salt Lake, and my biological parents were killed when I was 7, so I moved to Maryland. So I lived in the East Coast, Maryland area most of my life, and Potomac area, Chevy Chase area. So, but once Dan and I were married, we did move to Arizona, one of our many moves, and we loved the 7 years we were there. It was great.
Yeah.
So
what brought you all out to Arizona? I mean, what made you decide, let's go there? It's not near Maryland at all.
No. I went to visit my family, my step family, who were my family, and they lived in Mesa, and Dan came and realized it was January and men were on the golf course. And, it was snowing and ugly at home. And so we went back and told the Daniel side of the family, I think we're moving to Arizona. So Daddy hadn't passed the bar yet. We moved to Arizona. He worked at a bank, studied to pass the bar with Uncle Gordon. And that's the story. Then started practicing law out there. So loved it.
Yeah, and so Chanel, what brought your family to Arizona? Who came to Arizona first?
I want to say grandma, right, Mama?
Granddad, your daddy. I mean, your granddad came. He came out here to find work from Mississippi. Stayed in a place called 11 Mile Corner. It's in between, I think, Coolidge and Tucson, and the whole town was 11 miles. When he came back in, I don't know, 1950, 50 something. So yeah, I mean, I've been here all of my life. Since 1961, yay, I'll be 60 in June. I'm happy. And I love it here. I like it hot. I don't want to be cold. I just like it hot.
I wanted to ask, since both Sean and I have had extensive careers in theater, right? Kathy, what is one show that you wanted Sean to direct or star in?
Gosh. I supported him and saw him in so many different things. One show I wanted him to actually do. I remember he was in a play at Florida State when he was with the Whammo Players. And I remember I didn't want him to do it, but he ran naked across the stage and his dad and I were the audience and he said, "That's my son." So the things, here we were lucky to be able to see his Whammo production at Florida State, but running naked across the stage was not my idea of a up and coming actor, but that was Sean. If you know Sean, that was Sean. Yeah.
And what about for Chanel's mom? What's your dream role to see Chanel in?
I always tell her, because I like big hats, Hello Dolly, but she did play Lucy her senior year. I think it was your senior year in high school. And I just thought this is the perfect role for Chanel. She's such a Lucy. That's why
I don't know if that's a compliment.
I told her, you're such a Lucy. But Hello Dolly, just to see her in big hats, I love to see her in that. Yeah.
That's it. I love, I tease my mom, and the reason why I'm bringing this up because she's going to kill me. But my mom likes to write songs for all of her children and her grandchildren as well. So we all have our own individual song. I was like, Mom, can you share with the people my song and the brilliant lyrics?
I don't know about brilliant, but when I saw my children, I just started singing. The first thing that came to mind, my children, my grandkids, they all have a song. So I'll sing, it's not brilliant, but it's just a song. And I'll sing a little bit, like, okay. I love my baby girl. She is so sweet to me. She is so sweet. She is so neat. Chanel, 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 Monique, Alexandria, Chanel, Chanel, Chanel. Okay, that's it. That's
it. That needs to be our new intro theme song. I mean, we got to stop Sammy Davis Jr. and put that in its place. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, when she first sang it to me, I mean, I don't remember when she first sang it to me, but as I've gotten older, even at almost 40 years old, I still love it when she sings it. And there's a second verse. So, there's a lot of Chanel's.
No, we're not singing the second verse, but that's good.
No, not at all.
But what's amazing about having both of you on is that I don't think people really appreciate, who their parents are until they get older, right? And they realize what it has to, what it takes, right, to have been a parent. I remember, Mom, I don't know if you remember this, my friend Liz gave birth, and she had like a complicated birth. And then I remember going home and calling you afterwards because I didn't realize like what it was to birth a child, and how huge that was. Also, because we're old, that child is now 21. But I just remember, and now, now being a parent myself, you're like, oh my God, it's just amazing that it's just keeping someone alive is a full-time job, right? In terms of what it is, much less providing all the amazing things that you two provided for Chanel and I.
I do remember that call, Sean. I remember you called and you said it was almost like spiritual experience to see this baby born, but also so traumatic, so much pain and suffering and love and the whole combination of birthing a child. And I remember you called and you were just so touched and, in awe of such a beautiful experience. So yeah, and I'm glad you got, Vivian. We love her.
Oh yeah. Now to be on the other side, just like
just wait till she's 16.
Oh, I know.
I was just about to say that.
if anybody, I told one of my girlfriends that I was on Sean's talk show today, and she said, just remind them you're the mom of the white chip. So anybody who's seen the white chip know that, we had many, many wonderful times, but there were years where I definitely loved him, but I'm not sure I really liked him. He didn't like me either, but I have a good ending to that if you have time to share later.
Yeah.
If you could summarize your birth story in just a couple of sentences, what would that be?
Are you talking to, I'm sorry, I missed it.
To you, either to you or to my mom.
Okay. My birth story or Sean's birth story?
Sean's birth story.
Oh my gosh. We were so excited when we knew I was pregnant with Sean. I took Daddy to all of Lama's classes, where you learn to breathing, be by your wife, no medicine. And he missed all his basketball practices. And I swear, after the first pain, I said, give me a shot. And he said, pant, pant, blow. And I won't even say on what I said, give me a shot. And it was traumatic. In labor for 48 hours. His dad laid on the floor of the hospital room. They didn't have beds in those days. And Sean was C-section. And he finally was here healthy and happy. But I was at George Washington, where it was a teaching school. So the next day, I'm laying in bed, cut open, very modest at that point in my life. And I had 10 male residents walk in, and the doctor lifted the sheet to show them what a C-section looked like. Anyway, that wouldn't happen now, but it really was shocking at the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
But we were so happy to have him. He was here healthy and happy.
oh, thank you for sharing that. I know birth stories can sometimes be traumatic, so thank you for sharing that. And Mom, do you want to share mine?
Sure. I was at a teaching hospital too, Good Sam. I had preeclampsia. So Chanel, I had such a hard time. Chanel, her heart just stopped. Her heart stopped. My mother was with me in the room, and she just didn't move. My mother was just straight face. And then 2 doctors started screaming. They wheeled me down to labor and delivery to do some sort of blood, getting blood from the scalp, her head. It was just traumatic. And then her heartbeat started back. So I'm glad for that. It was grueling, but it was so worth it. I told her with everything that happened, as sick as I was I was sick for 6 months out of 9. And she was worth it all though. This young one, all 3 of them was worth it all, but I was very, very sick with Nell. And so by the time when it came time to push, they asked me, could the class come in and watch, and watch. And I was like, so you want me to get in the stirrups, and I just said, I don't even care anymore. Let's just get the baby. So with the whole class too, they watched me push her out. Yeah. Worth it all. Yes, she was worth it all.
Yeah. Well, and I guess my mom and I, as you were talking about, we became friends in addition to loving each other later in life. But yes, there definitely is a moment now being a parent where you realize, like, I had no idea how much work goes into it. Like my daughter's 3, like she's not even going to remember any of these 3 years that have been full time, right? Taking care and feeding, my first memories are like 5 or 6. Right? Like she's still got years to go before we get there. And so, I think we're just grateful to both of you for, everything that you did, that we get to be artists, right? Like, because so many kids don't get those opportunities to be able to even pursue the arts, right? It's really often thought of as a luxury. And so for us to be able to pursue it is really a tribute to both of you.
Yeah.
It truly is. And I'm just grateful. I just would be remiss not to take this moment to just to publicly say, I am so proud to be your daughter, Mama. You really are the strongest woman that I know. I hope that I can be an ounce of the woman that you are. And I live every day hoping to fulfill that purpose. If I can be anything like you, then I think that I've done my job. So she's pretty special, y'all. Like, she's not bragging about herself, but this woman like does it all. She goes down to the hospital and prays for people. She goes down to the prison. She goes to the homeless shelters and gives food. Like, she's a rock star. And then still has time to come see all my shows and critique me and tell me how terrible I am. And I'm not joking. No, she always gives me constructive feedback, and it's welcome. But she is my biggest champion, and I am hers. So thank you, Mama, and thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Can I say, Sean, my feelings about you when you came home?
Oh, sure.
Well, Sean came home to live with me for 4 months, 8.5 years ago. And when he left my house in Black Diamond, he had a job interview in Atlanta. So I went that morning to a doctor's appointment, and I knew I'd be back in time to say goodbye to him after living with me for 4 months. And of course, this doctor kept me, and Sean had to go. So he texted me, Mom, I got to go. I'll be late for my appointment. And so he left, and I got home and he had left, and I'd missed him. And my heart sunk. We had had such a nice time together the 4 months. And I just said, I'm sorry. Lo and behold, he had been on the road for 30 minutes. He turned back around, came back, honked the horn, drove up the driveway, threw his arms around me, gave me a big hug and a kiss, got back in the car and started back to Atlanta. And it's like that Virginia Slims thing, you come a long ways, baby. The love we had at that moment, the gratitude for each other after going through a rough time with his dad and getting sober together. It doesn't get better. That's mother love right there and son love. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
Tearing up over here.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the beautiful thing about my mom is that we've always loved each other, but like we had a rough time, and not until and this is so the story about my mom, right? And I'll just do like the short version of it. That's kind of amazing, and the timing of it, right? Is that when I was at the end, and I really felt like my drinking was out of control and I could, I was going to take my own life, I called my mom, of all people, to be able to do it. And I don't even know why. We hadn't talked in months. We didn't get along. But there was just something deep down inside of me that was like, you call your mom in moments like that. And what I didn't know was the day that I called her was her 1 year sober anniversary. And my dad had promised that he would go with her on that day, but he had passed away before that. So my brother had actually flown to be with her to go to this meeting where she was going to get her 1 year chip. And then she's walking home from that. And that's when I call.
And he didn't drink that day, so now we're 1 year apart. So now neither of us can drink. We can't change our dates. It's the same day, a year apart. So yeah.
So, but it's definitely like, and then I went to stay with her after I got out of rehab, and so that's what became close. But yeah, it's just my mom saved my life, several times to be able to do it, and so that's what's amazing, that we're friends now on the other side of that.
I love you, babe.
I love you too.
So we're crying on this side of the screen. Sorry about my mom. We're both softies. What a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing that in your journey. And I'm just so grateful that y'all came on. How beautiful this episode turned out. So thank you.
So for any mom struggling with teenage boys, hang in there. I swear it gets better, or teenage girls for that matter.
Yeah.
It gets better. And, the relationship we have now, I mean, we've taken some family trips, and one of the best things we do is we try to get everybody to have a nose. Anybody doesn't know what a nose is when you're eating or drinking somebody some food, and you make them laugh so loud that the liquid comes from their mouth through their nose. And this is a family tradition when we travel. Can we get somebody to laugh hard enough that they have a nose? And Sean was good at that. Our family trips are always really crazy.
We're gonna institute that in work meetings now.
I know.
Well, I'm sure it hasn't changed much from that part of his personality for sure. Still funny.
So when we have guests on, we always ask them to give us a word, and that becomes what the name of the episode is. So do you have a word, each of you, that you're thinking about in this moment?
Well, mine is grateful. Grateful that you were born to me, grateful that even though we had bumps in our relationship, that we can love each other for the people we are. Grateful that you're happy, that you're a wonderful wife and beautiful daughter. Grateful I have 2 other beautiful sons and a really sweet man in my life right now. And grateful I picked a good dad. I'm grateful.
Me too. That was my word. My word. That's the first thing. Grateful. When you think of how it could have turned out, how things could have turned out with our children, with us, I'm grateful. I think God always has a plan. I'm just so grateful. And grateful for this time. I never thought I was going to be doing this. Thank you to beautiful people, Sean and Chanel, for loving your mothers. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next part of our segment. We love you both. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you both so much for being on the show.
And we'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting us share too. We love you.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Bye.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Nice.
So they're like, how do you turn off cameras?
That's right.
Oh my God. I don't think my face is hurt this much from an episode.
My cheeks are definitely like hurting the whole time. Yeah.
Same. I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful for you, Sean. What a special mom. So nice. It's the first time I've met Kathy, so this is wonderful.
I know. I never met your mom before also. And that, I mean, we're joking, but I really need a copy of that song.
No.
I really feel like that needs to be worked into the show. No, I mean, it's always, you know, it's where we come from, right? Like, these are the people that made us who we are. And, you know, sure, a lot of your personality is set, but it's so much by the care and the love that you were given. And if you felt like as a child, like you were loved and taken care of.
That's so true. Well, we have a great rest of our show available. So we're reaching back into the vault. We did a great interview with Reg, who did the directing of Somewhere Over the Border. Brian Quijada also. And they talked greatly actually about their moms, which is fantastic and a great way to wrap up our Mother's Day episode of Hang in Focus. And this is also, again, a reminder to watch Somewhere Over the Border until 8:00 p.m. on Saturday night. Don't miss it. It is really a true special tribute from Brian to his mother, and what's more appropriate than during Mother's Day weekend.
Great. All right, let's go to that interview.
All right.
So can you tell us about your show, Somewhere Over the Border? I can say why I love it, but first I would love just for you to just give us like the brief synopsis of it, and then I'll pile on the love.
Yeah, it's so what it is it's the story, it's the real story of my mother leaving El Salvador, which was where she was born, at the age of 16, leaving my oldest brother, Fernando, in El Salvador as a toddler, in search of the American dream, crossing the border. So through El Salvador, Guatemala, all of Mexico, and then crossing the border into the States. But it is also a mashup with Frank Albaum's The Wizard of Oz. So it's like a mix between, it's like how I describe it is it's like if Oh Brother Were Out Thou, like it's what Oh Brother Were Out Thou did in Mississippi 1937. Right. We're doing, that was Oh Brother Were Out Thou was an adaptation of the Odyssey. So we're kind of doing that 70s Central America with a Wizard of Oz backdrop.
And you know what? I feel like I've always loved your writing, but I feel like this is the next level for you. Like,
man, it's nice of you to say.
No, I just feel, like you've always been entertaining. You've always, papers have always thought you're sexy. And I feel like that's been a part of it. But this feels like.
You're never going to live that down.
No, never.
But I feel like just the craft of doing it. And then I think it's your mom's story, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like the trap of most kind of honest family stories, right, is that people tell these stories and act like they are really charming people that a series of unfortunate events happen to, which I guess perhaps is how the majority of us see our lives. But your play doesn't do that. Your play really wants to dive in and say, like, it's scary and messy across the board for everybody who is put in this situation, and nobody makes the right decision. And it's a mother-son story, right? About like, really, who are we and who we're as family? And that, I feel like you tackle that in such a way with such finesse and such love for your mom, but also like just an honest look at what, the hard choices that we make for family. And I feel like that's why and your writing has always been about your family, but I feel like this one, you're going to a next level in terms of not just commenting, but really sharing the whole world with us in a way that I feel like few writers can.
Well, that's very sweet of you to say. I appreciate that. It does, in a lot of ways, it does feel, it feels new. It feels new. It feels like a different, like a leveling up for me of working on a musical that's, it feels like, within the realm of the classic American musical formula, right? But it's so in that way it's kind of formulaic, right? And but also it carries such a personal. I say that it's my solo show, that trailer my solo show, Where Do We Sit on the Bus? It's like a sister project. The first line of that trailer is they say she laid under a board covered with flowers on top. And that's how she crossed the border. And it feels like a sister project, right? It's in that kind of laying it on the line. Here's my personal story. Here's the story of my mom and the hardship of what it meant for her to cross the border and leave her son for 10 years. It's I appreciate you saying that. It is totally personal, and I think that's why it's really special.
Well, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but like you don't just also glorify your mom. You really talk about the tough choices that she had to make and what does it mean. And I feel like that's for any of us that are parents, right? It's just like there's no way to win in those situations. So you're just trying to do the best day by day. And I feel like that's what, that's where my heart goes to when I read it, because like you're portraying her as a real person.
Totally. There, somebody asks her in the play, like, how could you leave your son like that? Like, how could you leave your son as a small child? Which is, I guess that's the drive, right? That the sacrifice meant more. His safety meant more than the lost time that she actually ended up having with her son. But where she comes back. I mean, if you talk to my parents now, or my parents and my oldest brother, they have it's a strange relationship, right? My brother was raised by my grandmother, and it's a very it's totally different than the relationship I have with my mother. Sweet and amazing in it, but in a different way. Yeah.
So true.
Oh, go ahead. No.
Well, I was going to say, so Reg, when you received this piece and you're like, okay, I'm going to direct this, and the first time that you read it, like what was going through your mind?
No, that's actually a good story. We've never told this story really. We've like done some of these kind of interviews, but we've never told this story. And you're both directors. I sought out this project, which is interesting because Brian and I, we got to know each other really well in Pittsburgh and kind of became like instant friends. Like we shared an artistic sensibility, also like a social sensibility,
Yes.
a political sensibility. And it was January in Pittsburgh and Brian was doing a solo show. And so our staff adopted him. It was like, you can't sit in the housing in the winter alone. We will host you always. And so our whole staff adopted Brian, and then like me and our friend Jenna and Claire and Ryan, we really became super tight. We hung out like every day because Brian also had done the show before. So it was like a week of rehearsal, a really fiscally conscious producing choice. It's like, what if you come and just do tech?
That's all it was. It's putting up the show, it's just
it was really, Sean, you've been very proud of me, man. It was really good producing. I was like, and what if you start with like a stew mat, like every week? Do like 20 shows a week with no rehearsal. And we'll take you to restaurants and get you free food. That's what we did. But we hung out all the time. And I remember when Brian got the offer from the Pittsburgh CLO, a wonderful company in downtown Pittsburgh, about 10 minutes from where City Theater is in Southside. I was just super pumped for him. And I wanted to read the play in all honesty, because I thought it'd be really cool for City Theater. Our company was committed to new work, committed to plays that really do that really special thing that the political is personal, the personal is political, and a human narrative about the world we live in a wholly new, interesting, unique way, the way only great writers can. So it was like perfect. And it was 5 people. I was like, what is this? What could this be? And I read it and I was just blown away. It was such a great mix of different musical genres. I right away, I think, I'm a new play lover and a new play director at my core. And so I always am curious about the world a play is setting up. And those moments when I fall out of the play, which is, oh, there's development opportunity there. Oh, there's a thing there. There's a question still there. And we went to lunch. I kind of invited Brian to lunch and was like, what if we just talk about your play or your musical? And I had my City Theater hat on more than my director hat. But over the course of that lunch, it really shifted from just 2 friends, one of whom worked at a theater company, to a director talking to a writer about structure and about story and about song and style, and bonding in a different way about our family dynamics and our love of art. We were talking a different conversation than 2 friends or a producer and player. We started to have a director-playwright conversation. And so I was just thrilled when Brian was like, yeah, I want to ask CLO if you can direct it. And they were like, yeah, and he's local. Cool. Have fun. And it's one of the most special projects I've had the chance to work on, and I say I direct everything for Lucille, who's my mom. And it's exactly what you're saying, Sean. I do every project I think about comes right back to her seeing herself on stage in a world that doesn't often allow her to. The truth of her story, which is so often told as trauma alone, and that's not the real Black experience or the real BIPOC experience. There's so much joy. When you meet Brian in the 20 minutes you've just known him, all you get is joy. You get joy. And I think the play is beautifully, yes, a story about the struggle, but it's also about survival. We're able to stand here now and look back and reflect on how we got to where we are. And that's the story that I want to tell for my mom and for the moms I know and for the communities that I know. So it was a project I sought out and held on tight to. And I'm thrilled that Sean was able to say, hey, would you come play with us in Arizona? Sean being someone I've respected and admired and called a friend and a colleague. And then when you came along, Sean, I was like, I'm over. I'll stay in this Zoom forever. Keep me in this Zoom forever. So very grateful to be a director on the piece, but also just a collaborator and a friend watching this piece develop and watching Brian's voice develop. I completely agree with you, Sean.
So that's beautiful. And I want to just ask you 1,000 questions about your mother. So just real quickly, like who is she? Where is she? Like, who?
So I grew up in Long Island. My mom, she's proud of her age now. She was born in 1950, Alabama. And so like, it blows my mind. My mom drank from segregated water fountains, small town Alabama. And I say at the beginning of many first rehearsals, almost all basically, I say this mantra that in a world that so often talks about my death, we are in this room right now to tell stories that celebrate and affirm my life, and a life that she could not have imagined for me. And I think that's the same thing for Reina. It's like a life you could not have imagined in this country that is built on potential, built on promise. It's built on the ability to make hope actualized. We get closer some days, we get further away from it some days, but that potential is what made that 1950 Black woman in Alabama go to college, the first in her family. She moved to New York with my father. They had 2 kids. She was a corporate executive. She sacrificed, single mother, putting me through private school, like getting me to Georgetown, like all these dreams, all the pursuit of that American dream. And to have your son realize it for himself by telling stories that affirm our community's existence. Like, this is unfathomable. And so doesn't have Facebook, but so she knows I'm saying this because I say it all the time. But yeah, I mean, we get to tell stories every day, all 4 of us on this stage, that celebrate life in a world that so often feels dark and led by death in all kinds of forms. My mom is a great example. Reina in the play and in real life is a great example of life, strength, survival, joy in the midst of pain. And so that's Lucy.
I'm about to go call my mama right after.
Don't call your mama, everybody.
Call my mama. But I'm glad that you keep mentioning the mother connection, obviously, because it is her journey. But that is what I took away from when I read it. Even though it wasn't my journey, I saw my mom, single parent mom, struggling with 3 kids, working it out for us and providing this future. And so anyway, it's just so wonderful how much your work connects with anyone that reads it. And I'm just really grateful we get to help.
Well, and I'm also incredibly grateful to y'all. It's an incredible opportunity. And also, we've been having such a good time rehearsing it, and this crew, this cast is incredibly generous, and a bunch of changes that have happened, just new songs. I mean, like it's been such a whirlwind and also such a joyride. And complicated. It's like working on a musical over Zoom is I mean, we're doing everything, but it is a lot. It's tough and complicated, but I'm very, very grateful for how ready people are to dive in and supportive they've been.
So I don't know that our audience knows a lot about developing musicals. Just less interesting than our mom, but just on a technical term talk, like what does that mean? Like, you're writing new songs, you're tossing songs out. Like, how does the process go?
Yeah, I mean, so yes, so the play isn't super new. I mean, it's like I've been wanting to write the piece for a long time, ever since my mom told me the story. There was like a moment where I was just like, Mom, you need to tell me Fernando has a different dad, right? So my oldest brother, the one that she left in El Salvador, is a different dad. And one day it was in between shows, and I was just like, I got like 3 hours to kill. Mom, I need this story, because you got to act. I mean, I'm at a point where I don't want them to. It's like I don't want them to leave and have any stories untold. So I asked, and a good friend of mine, Jim Wren, who runs the MFA program at UNC in Greensboro, said, hey, do you want to come write a play? And I'm like, okay. And I pumped it out, the first draft, in 7 days, like music, everything.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
And I just had it in, right? Like, I had been festering on this story, and like the music, like the cumbia, the music of my country, my parents' country, and I'd been sitting on this mute. I'd been sitting on the mute, like the idea of the music and the play, for a long time. So it just kind of came out. And then CLO, where Reg jumped on, was the first kind of with age appropriate actors, and and was the first workshop where everybody was a singer, right? We worked it with like MFA students, some couldn't sing, some different gender bending and blah 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 blah. And so this is the kind of third workshop or second workshop, kind of what I loved about those initial conversations that we had with Reg is Reg was just like, where's your I Want song? Where's your I want to go where the people are. I was just like, and that was amazing. I was like, that kind of knowledge of the American musical form I don't have, because I don't know this is like my first attempt to try to write a musical like this. And so it was leaning into that kind of leaning into the form and writing songs that kind of formulaically should fit in those spaces. Like drawing out in this version of this musical, my grandmother, my mother's mother, right, we've been leaning into her being the witch, right? The one who doesn't want her to go, the one who sends, energies to go and stop her, and so it was leaning into what is the song of the antagonist, and how do we skillfully then flip her to be a grandmother again? So it's been a lot of leaning into what the form is, and all in the sake of creating a good fully rounded making a story that makes sense and has emotional arc. So yeah, I mean, some of these songs too were just the first number I reworked right here, because I wanted it to be a cumbia, which is it's very specific regionally, and I also wanted to make sure that as she moves from El Salvador through Guatemala and through Mexico, that the music follows where she is regionally, right? That the music kind of that location follows it. So it's been just paying more attention to the details is been what the rewriting process has been like for me. I don't know. Right.
I mean, all that, and yes, and I think Brian as a collaborator is a super fast writer and worker and trusts his gut in a way that's always thrilling as a director and as a collaborator, just to have a writer who says, let's try and give me an hour, And so we were in Pittsburgh, he wrote the I Want song. The musical theater kid in me was like, where's the 11 o'clock number? How do you yeah. He wrote the 11 o'clock number like that night. We were in like the room, like the hanging out like in the hotel room before we went to dinner. And he's like, give me a guitar. And it's just, it's amazing how fast Brian's able to churn out ideas that feel fully formed. They don't feel like rough cuts. They feel like, here's the dramaturgically sound answer. And it often is. And then we have this great dramaturg, Kristen Leahy, who's able to also offer a new perspective. And we kind of hash it out, the three of us, and go, well, maybe it's this one word that's off. And it's not it's so that level of detail. And then macro things like adding in an act break. We added an intermission throughout the last workshop. ATC, to everyone out there, in the spirit of really supporting artists, Sean and Chanel were like, we think you need 2 workshops. Now, I work at a theater company all day, and I was like, you just think that and are going to do that? Like, what? But it's because what they're doing with the support and with their resources is really investing it in artists and the needs of making the best work. And so we were able to have the time to really focus on the work. And then this upcoming week, we'll focus on recording it and be able to share it with all of you. But because we had that time, we were able to say, oh, maybe this isn't 90 minutes straight through. Maybe it's an hour and then 30 minutes. And that break can let us shift dramaturgical shifts, musical shifts. And we added a number the day of the final workshop. And our amazing actors were like, okay, give me an hour. So we've been really fortunate, to have a great composer and book writer, but also the most game team of actors, and then like above and beyond supportive producers. So it's been an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And we're also thankful that one of our very own, Johanna Carlisle, And Cepeda is one of the cast members of Somewhere Over the Border. So she's been showing y'all love in the Facebook chat this whole time.
So just, for people that don't know the show or don't know Brian, like, what's the elevator pitch of like why they should watch when this comes out?
Listen, there's not enough adaptations of The Wizard of Oz, okay? There isn't. I know that there's Wicked, and I know that there's The Wiz and the actual Wizard of Oz, but I don't know. Like this is Brown Dorothy. This is the Central American Dorothy. It's filled with a lot of people's music. I grew up on hip hop and so it is infused with kind of an American hip hop lens of watching this. So the music, I think, is something that's really exciting, but it's also the joy of the wink as you watch as you watch it, of like, that's the Scarecrow, or like, that's Toto. It's like, it's those little winks, that little fun along the way of connecting it with a story that we all were raised by. It's a very it's like the most American story.
Can we just talk for a moment, though, the importance of representation? And the reason why that I love that connection to Dorothy is just like when I read A Blade So Black, which was, a Black central character being Alice, right? Or like there was a theater here that did Curious Here and Curious Here, which was an interactive experience. And yet they made the person that was going through the experience Alice. So they went to different people that played Alice throughout. And on all of the walls, they had Alice Latina, Alice Black, Alice White. And I was like, it's so important for little Black girls like me to see ourselves reflected in art. So to be able to use The Wizard of Oz, which is a story that we all love and know so well, but to be able to connect it, and it truly works. Like, it really works. Like, I read your play in one sitting. Like, I didn't even get up. I was just sitting at my desk. And before I knew it, I was done, because I was fully invested because of the familiarity. But then seeing like, oh my God, how important it is to hear it. Then I heard the cumbia music, which is from my neighborhood. And I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm sold. So
I think about that a lot, obviously as a person of color, but I think about it as the real work we do as artists. Is I always say we're in the business of empathy. And so I think there's power in seeing yourself in your neighbor. It allows you to better understand the world you live in, the ways that we are in this together. I really believe, I have to believe, that we are more alike than we are different in our specificity. We see our families, we see the hope, we see the struggle, we see the joy. And so I yes, and to everything you said. And I think it's what makes this piece so special is it is both an homage and a love letter to all that makes us American. The pain of our history that we all feel uniquely in different ways, but also the really active hope that we could achieve our dreams and watch our neighbor thrive and survive. And that actually is what we can do in the theater, is we can tell stories that allow us to both honor our past and find a new future together. Like, that is a dream job, and we get to do that. And I hope for audiences, you get to be a part of experiencing that empathy, that understanding that they may look different, they may sound different, speak a different language sometimes, or have an accent, but their heart beats just like yours. And maybe that perspective might shift someone to see themselves in someone they never thought they would. That's what makes me go to work every day. That's why I click the link. And so I hope that that's what people take from this show as well.
Yes.
Are you hitting the wall? Is that like?
Yeah, the neighbors can hear. There's
Iowa.
I know. Wake up, Iowa! It's time for the show to happen. Yeah. Well, guys, you're all very kind to like say that like we're great producers and that you're happy to be here. We are just grateful to be able to support this piece in any way that we can. You come across a play and you think like, all right, we should probably do this at some point, and you come across other plays that you think like, we have to do this tomorrow. Like we have to, like, we're stewards of organizations that reflect our community and create conversation in our community. And I just think, we don't have a large commissioning program, so we don't have things in the pipeline to be able to do that. And then I read this and I was like, no, this is the play for Arizona. This is an Arizona story for people to be talking about, to be able to do. And so I'm just grateful for all of you for letting us, borrow you all and your work for a brief moment to be able to, share this story, because I think, it's an American story, and Arizona is by far, in my mind, like the central heart of the country at this moment. It is a state that is trying to figure out exactly who it is and where it is going and what does it believe and what does it support. And I feel like that struggle is real, and plays like this start the conversation in ways. And really one of our values is conversation. And so to your point, like, wouldn't it be great to see people that look like you having a different experience, or people that don't look like you having the same experience, and be able to say like, oh, that brings us all a bit more together. And I feel like this play does that gorgeously. Thank you both so much for being on our show. It's an honor, and I can't wait to share this with our audience and with everybody anywhere. So thank you all so much.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you so much for having us.
This is your call board for May 7th through the 13th, 2021. Today we'll begin finding out what's happening in theaters around Arizona. Starting out in Phoenix this week, Arizona Broadway Theater brings you Nonsense the Musical. That's through May 16th, and COVID-19 protocols are observed. You can get information on the show and tickets at azbroadwaytheater.com. And the Phoenix Theater Company brings you My Way, a musical tribute to Frank Sinatra. And that was created by David Grapes and Todd Olson, and that plays through May 23rd, and it is performed in the Central United Methodist Church outdoor venue, so it's outside, it's safe. Check out phoenixtheater.com for more information. Now, headed down to Tucson, the Rogue Theater is bringing us William Shakespeare's As You Like It, starring our very own Carly Elizabeth Preston and directed by Cynthia Meyer. You don't want to miss that. It plays through May 16th, and you must purchase your tickets in advance if you want to see that. Check out more information at theroguetheater.org. And the Scoundrel and Scamp Theater seems to never quit. They are bringing us Letters End by Wolf Boert through May 16th. It streams online, and it's best enjoyed by scamps and scoundrels age 5 and up. So check out scoundrelandscamp.org for information on that. And don't forget, you can still catch Somewhere Over the Border by Brian Quijada and directed by Reginald Douglas until Saturday night at 8 o'clock. That's May 8th at 8 p.m. It will be taken down, so don't miss your chance to see this amazing new musical. Head on over to arizonatheater.org and click on that big, bright, beautiful picture that says Somewhere Over the Border, and that will take you to all the information you need to catch this reading, what platforms it's on. Our digital program will give you all the information you need to know about the artist involved in making it. Please join us in sharing this beautiful piece of digital theater. Have a wonderful and safe weekend.